setup right now looks completely different to what you guys are used to seeing, and there's been a lot of shit going on. The reason this isn't in my normal setup is because I simply have not had the time to record these episodes, or this episode per se. Where I am right now is at the Beats with Chef studio on a Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. Shout out to them for running this dry hire stuff. There's stuff like this that's possible. I could be in my own space in a creative mind without any distraction or anything. I remember I did this a while ago with Safe House Studios, I believe they were called, where you could dry hire, but then again, there's people coming in and out, and there's all this different stuff going on, so there's a lot of distraction. But I feel like I haven't been as present as I would like to be, especially on socials and, you know, on the face of the internet. And there's reason for it. There should be no excuse. But I have reasoning for it. And that is simply because I have just been running out of time. And I feel like I always come back and forth to this same problem. But this time, there is good reason for it. The reasoning being, at the moment, my day job has been taking a lot of time away from me. I have been working my motherfucking ass off. I've been getting money, which is good, but I end up with zero money. Why that reason is I've been trialing different sources of income. I think I've talked about it in the past. I can't speak right now either. I don't know what it is. But hopefully this is still better than the episode that I did last time. That was horrendous. But yeah, I was going through Airtasker and a job had come up. If you don't know what Airtasker is, it's simply an app where people need a task done and you do it for them. Like, it's as simple as that. Let me just move this chair out of the way. Hopefully it's still recording. Yeah, it's to simply do a task that people don't want to do. Some are easier than others. Some are harder than others. There's some that are literally like, someone will pay you $150 to move garbage. There's others that are like, I need, a complete house renovated sort of thing. So there's different scale of it. But one job that came up that I took interest in was a lady saying that there was a job up for grabs that was part-time. You could work in your own time. It was all done online. And it was to essentially leave reviews for a company. And I thought, fuck, I'll look into it. There's no harm in looking into it. Got in contact with the boss man, who I later found out isn't the boss man. He's just an admin or a higher up. And through that, I found out more about what the job was, and I was a little skeptical for a long time. As I've gotten to know him more, he comes from Singapore, so that's why his English was a bit poor, and it seemed very scammy. As I think it's embedded in our heads that a lot of this online making money stuff is scammy, and a lot of it can be, but there's also risk and reward in that. You've got to trust the process and sometimes just take that leap forward. And so that's what I did. You essentially leave reviews for this company. Through that, get commission. And then through that, you trade crypto or coins or whatever. And you flip that money. So you grow that money, essentially. That's what the whole idea is. Now, I've done something like this similar in the past, but there was a lot more to it. And it was a bit more of a pyramid scheme. It was more, you could earn income through the company by becoming an affiliate and getting people to work for you, and you get a commission through the company doing that, and then in doing that, then you trade and you grow your money through crypto and whatever, and day trading and stuff like that, which in the long run, I think that has more longevity to it and less risk that is unintentional. And their company is massive now as well. They've got places all around the world. There was people that were from Melbourne that were head of the company. There was also people that were from, I think it was Czech Republic or something, that were head of the company. So there's different parts of Europe, different parts of Australia. I think they were branching into Saudi Arabia, stuff like that. They were a good company, but again, that took way too much time. I believe I was looking into them just before I had moved out the first time I had out of home with mum. and I met my partner at the same time, and that was the universe literally putting a bunch of things in place and going, you choose, what are you doing right now? And I think this has been another test of where I am right now with what I'm doing. So I started with this company, and I had results within, I think I was only working with them for like 2 weeks or something. Within the first couple of days to a week, I earned $240 something. Not all profit. I think profit it was like $200, which was sort of testing my toes, like dipping my toes in. I had used their accounts as like a training account to see how it all worked first, and I was learning it all. And I'm still learning it. And then I came to another one where there's something called these journey rewards, and they can happen every so often. But every time they happen, you have to invest more money. But investing more money, you get a higher commission rate, so you get more money back. And the second one, so it happens in increments. And the person who was training me was like, oh, it happens 1 to 3 times, especially for the beginners, because there's different rankings and stuff. Like, they're called journeys, so you can have 30 journeys, which is for a beginner, and then the higher up is like 80 or something. So there's a difference, I think, or maybe it's 30, then 50, then 80, something like that. So it's random. It depends on how much the company is paying for these reviews. And so there's different increments, and they said that it's 1 to 3, that's it. Like, it can happen where it's more, but it's very, very rare. And so I was like, fuck it. I did it once, I did it twice, and each time I did it, I think the first investment was like 200 something, then the next was 600, then the next, I believe, was $2,000. I think it was a lot, like it was a big jump. And I was like, fuck, this is very risky, because I know for a fact that I'm going to get the end result, but in doing that, I'm shooting myself in the foot, because I don't have that extra play money. I have that money sat there, but it's for bills or for other investments or whatever. But I had the money sitting there, just not for the investments. So I was like, fuck, what do I do? And so it was me sitting there for a day or two contemplating it, going, do I take that risk? Or it's a dumb risk, because if for whatever reason I was saying that, it was like, can it go past more than 3? And they're like, no, it's really rare. Like, it can happen, but it won't happen. Funnily enough, it happened. So I sunk that money in. And this is just rough ballpark prices as well, because I think I tried to explain it to the missus, and this is how I explained it, and it seemed like a lot, and it doesn't add up. So I've written it all down on Google Sheets, and I've calculated everything. And in the end, I really won't, from an overall, I won't profit that much. But I think it's still $1,000 or something throughout all of it, throughout all the investment and everything. A full total profit will be $1,000, but I will have sunk a lot more money. I think it is like closer to $3,000, so it's a lot. But in the end, I will get I think it's $6,500. Some of that obviously is my money that I have invested, but I'm getting that back. And so right now I'm in a position where I was left to nothing. I think I was left to like $300 to my name or something, which is fucking scary, because as I said, I've got other investments and bills and stuff that I have to have money for. So I was left in a position where I had nothing, and I was freaking out. I've not been that scared a long time. And it did remind me of me trying to move out by myself. And I think part of me was like, I just have to go back to that gut instinct of like, even though it seems impossible, I won't be able to do it, I will figure it out. And because I was freaking out at the time, I called the missus, and she was very against a lot of it, which rightfully so. She's like, bro, forget that. Forget the money you've already invested. Just start saving. Save whatever you were going to put in anyways. I'm going to end up with, I think it was like $2,500 or something. I'm going to end up with that money regardless. It's mine. I can earn it back. Just fucking work hard. Like, you'll get that money back. Don't fucking put more money in. And I guess it sounds like, she explained it as gambling. And it sounds like gambling, but it's, I'm guaranteed to get this money back. It's just a matter of when and how much more I have to put in to get that money. And it's a very scary thought. My whole life I've been brought up I have been very poor, and safety is everything. Like, it's so embedded in my head that it was, and having this, the closest voice to me saying this shit, it's like, fuck, am I doing the right thing or not? And so right now I'm just saying, fuck it, you know, like, I'm in a position where I'm saying, I'm going to do it anyways. Worst case scenario, I'm at nothing. I will still survive. I will find a way. And in terms, if I do this, the profit will be more in the future. It just won't be right now. And it's going to suck. And it's sucking right now. Like, everything is so tight and scary because I'm constantly living on nothing, no safety net or nothing, and just praying that everything works out in the end. And every time I've done this in the past, it hasn't worked out in the end. And that's the thing I'm fucking terrified about. But again, I just have to trust in the process and just fucking go all in, bro. And that's what I'm trying to do. In this, I would have lost, if I were to not do this, I would have lost that $4,000 or whatever it is. So I would be $4,000 set back. And if I stick to the plan that I'm on, say I'm saving $300 a week, which for me, with everything else going on, all my bills and investments, is a lot of money, I will be $4,000 left behind, which in that is just under 4 months, I believe, which is a long time. That's how much time I will lose. Whereas if I take the risk, I'm not losing any time at all. And so that's the thing I'm playing in my head. I think actually I'll lose more time. I think it'll be like 6 months, because by the time I get that money to that point again, I could have been saving more money. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's complicated. And as I said, I've never been in this kind of position before. So it's been playing on my mind so much. And that's what I want to use this for. I've said it time and time again, I want to show you guys the insides of what's going on, because it's shit like this that if I was just pretending to be an artist and just doing this shit, I wouldn't talk about this. You guys wouldn't see this side, and you wouldn't see the risk and the actual human scarcity and what I feel as a person, you know? You only see what's on the surface. And I haven't even been posting what's on the surface because I haven't had time. So it's shit like this where I can set half an hour aside and hope it helps someone, you know? Like, yeah. Anyways, the other thing, I've got a podcast on the way. That's not my episode. I did an interview with Ting. I will not go into severe detail about his situation because, you know, for respect and privacy problems, issues. But he's going through it right now. And I am also going through my own struggles and battles. And he's going through something very similar I've been through in the past. And I feel like I feel like I'm being a guiding voice for him, and I hope that it helps him. I think he really wants it to help him as well, and he's leaning into it. And I'm so invested in this guy to the point where if it doesn't work, then it's because I haven't tried hard enough. And I feel like I also need to be, you know, risking and putting myself in the deep end myself as well, because who am I to say all this shit and just living safe and, you know, living an easy life? It's not fair. I shouldn't be giving that advice if that's the case. I need to constantly be doing this, you know. And the main goal of the end of this as well, again, is to start this clothing brand. I think I have mentioned that in the previous episode. And if I'm behind, then I'm always going to be chasing my tail. This is something that will risk a lot. So if I get the money back, I should be able to get it back in the middle of November. Worst case scenario, as I said, I'm left back at zero. Best case scenario, I'm left with $6,500. This will give me the $3,000 rainy money that I've talked about previously. I can get my car sorted, and from that, I'm just gonna chill. I'm gonna fucking slow down for at least a month while Christmas is rolling around. I'm gonna live my life, and then when the year comes back, I'm gonna start fucking investing into this business. That's the plan. If I'm left at zero, I'm gonna have a shit time, and that's okay. I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing right now. I feel like this is building so much character, man. because I've been surrounded all my life by people saying I'm struggling or this is too hard or whatever, and they just simply give up. They never try in the first place. And for me, I don't have to do any of this shit. I don't have to create any of this risk, yet I do on purpose. I'm creating my own struggle on purpose. And no one gets it. No one understands the investment and the commitment that I put in because they don't see the result. I think I've also talked about that. There's a lot of repetition here, but because they don't see that end result, they don't believe in it. And I need people to believe in it as much as I believe in it. They don't have to, but bro, if I stop believing it will work, it won't work. If I believe it will work, it will work. It doesn't matter how much time it takes, it will fucking work. Yeah, fuck. Even, I wanted to shout out Dubsy as well. I don't know if he watches these or not, but I was even talking to him, right? He's someone that had started a clothing business recently. He also used Beats with Chef. Shout out to them. They're a bad connection web, like being surrounded by them. I can't be more grateful for being surrounded by them. But anyways, Dubsy, bro, he started his clothing line recently. He dropped recently, should I say. So he's been through the ringer. He knows what has worked and hasn't worked for him. And I was talking to him. I think he had actually hit me up about content about long form on YouTube because he could see that I was trialing it and asking if I noticed much difference on long form or short form. And I was 100% honest with him. I'm like, bro, I've been making content since I started making music. It's probably been 2.5, 3 years since I've been making content. And for me, for my version of success, I've not really seen much of it at all. Like, I've put out a lot of shit, and in hindsight, in retrospect, it just means my content isn't good enough for what I'm trying to provide. It's as simple as that, and I understand that. A lot of people will be like, oh, don't be hard on yourself, but I get that. That's why it hasn't resonated with people, because it's been not to the standard. It hasn't been good content, you know what I mean? But he asked me that, and that's what I had told him. But in saying that, I know there's a lot more longevity in long form in YouTube, because I can show you little snippets of all these things that try and grab your attention all the time, but here I can actually be me and explain everything that's going on. I can't do this shit on short form. I can snip this up and turn it into short form, which I will, but it's not the same. And I'm like, I feel like you can connect deeper with people through long form. It's people that watch long form that will want to sit through long form more, if that makes sense. Like, short form people are just there for a scroll. They might connect with you, but I feel like you can connect with people deeper through YouTube. If you can get your head around how to push this stuff out, and like, you don't need to grab people's attention because they're already interested. That's a lie. They're not already interested. I feel like it's both, but yeah, I feel like they're very different platforms. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. The conversation started with that, and then I'd asked him more about the clothing side of stuff, and he was explaining, he's like, bro, I've been making music for a long time. I've only been doing this clothing thing for like a year or two. And he's like, bro, it's a whole different ball game. Like, people say being an artist is difficult, but creating your own clothing line is fucking so much harder. And he was explaining all these different factors and stuff, and I went on a ramble with him because I think he's very knowledgeable. I didn't realize how old he was as well. I'm not saying he's old, but I think he said he was in his 30s. And I just said, bro, I'm like, this feeling of being comfortable is not what gives me joy. What gives me joy is putting in a lot of effort and getting a result back from it. That gives me so much satisfaction. Not just getting something, but earning it, you know, like actually putting in the work to earn it. And I feel like I've done that time and time again. Again, from an outside view, you know, I may not have the numbers, I may not have the quote-unquote success, but I know within me, I've put so much work in, and that feeling is so much better than just a fucking number on the screen. And yeah, so he was explaining how hard it is, and I'm like, bro, I don't care how hard it is. If anything, that makes me want to try it more, because if it's harder to achieve and I achieve it, then there's a greater feeling to that. I can't be one of those people that sit around and just do fuck all. Every time I do, I end up depressed, bro. Like, I think for me, that's natural. I have to be doing stuff, and that may not be a good thing. That may be a good thing, who knows? But I'm someone that has to constantly be working towards something. If I'm not, then I don't feel like I have purpose. Because the purpose of being sometimes isn't a purpose at all. You're just being. Do you know what? I don't know if that makes sense or not, you know? But yeah, it's been hectic, bro. Like, I nearly had a punch on with The Apprentice the other day as well. There's so much shit that's been going on. And I feel like I haven't been sharing it that much. Another thing that's slowed down has been the podcast. I haven't been recording the not the podcast, sorry, the streams. Which I feel like isn't going to be for me. I feel like that's going to be something. It reminds me a lot of when I was doing the Can I Begin to Make a Good Beat series, where I feel like I'm just going to be forcing it. If I have time and stars aligned, then yes, of course, I'm just going to hit record on live and do live streams, but actually setting aside times to do live streams, I try to create freedom and variation in there, but it's just not going to be for me. And I feel like if it's not for me, then it's not going to be for the people, because I'm not being authentic and people are going to see that. So that's why I decided to, slow down on that a little bit. But podcast-wise, bro, like, I know last episode I struggled. It's now currently Saturday, and I normally record these on Mondays, but because I've been so flat out, I haven't had the chance or opportunity to actually record these, or this episode at least. But this is a thing that I want to keep strong. Like, I want to be consistent with these podcasts. A, to help other people. B, to help myself. Journaling and stuff, like, I don't journal anymore. This is my form of journaling. I also noticed that I kept trying to, the further I went into it, I was trying to catch people's attention, write down scripts and stuff for these, and you could see that I'm looking at a script, not right now, but in my other episodes, and the last episode was a prime example of that, reading straight off a sticky note, and I feel like that's what blocks me, because I stop on that topic and I can't ramble about it anymore. I'm not someone that naturally rambles, unless it's something I want to talk about. So if I'm trying to give steps or guides or whatever all the time, then I'm just going to burn out. It's stuff like this where I'm letting out what I'm feeling right now and actually being me as a human, and hopefully that helps someone else. But yeah, bro, music-wise, there's been a lot of good feedback on the latest album. The numbers have jumped up without me promoting much at all. I feel like I should promote it more, and the numbers will do even better. But it's been really good, bro. Even going back and listening to it myself, it was one of those things where, because it was such a large work in progress, as a creator, you know that you don't like watching or listening to your own shit half the time, especially as an artist, because you hear the same song over and over and over again before it ever gets released. And so it dropped, and I was like, I don't really want to listen to it because I'd heard it so much. But now that it's been a couple of weeks, I've gone back and listened to it, and I'm fucking with it, bro. Like, I'm actually proud of what it turned out to be, and the fact that it's out there. Anyone can come look at it at any point in time, because I'm never going to take that shit down. And even towards the back end of it, I was like, what am I going to do music-wise next? And the biggest thing was, I hated how scheduled all the fucking tracks were, like, ahead of time, because I felt like I had no freedom. Like, I had nothing to sort of come back to, if that makes sense. Like, I had nothing to create on the spot, and that created just a lot of unhappiness in that, and I didn't want that. So I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to start dropping whatever the fuck I want after that. But then I think because of the response I've had for it and my overthinking in my brain, it's just like I have songs now that have been in the vault for a while, and I'm like, maybe I'll do something similar but I'll be a lot less strict on what the album's gonna be, and just start dropping singles that I want on the album, or start creating for an album, and then in the end tie it all together, name it something, fucking make cover art, and do it that way. Because I feel like singles are there for getting people's attention. That's where you can really like blow up and, you know, hook people in and market it a lot, like on a grander scale. But a lot of people, like, I've heard for a long time, like, everyone says, if you're a smaller artist, don't drop an album, because if you don't have the fans, if you don't have people that care too much, then people aren't going to fucking listen to the album. They're not going to take that time. I think in what I've done in releasing singles, and I haven't promoted them much, but there is some that I had promoted on their own, in doing that and building momentum, even though I didn't promote the album too much, people have gone back to that and gone, fuck, like, this is a whole piece, this is sick. And I feel like this is what I can do next year too, is, you know, release these singles and get attention from all these different places, and then in the end tie it all together. So all these people that have gotten the eyes and ears to listen to all these individual songs can listen to everything as a piece plus more. I feel like there's going to be a power in that, and I feel like if I'm putting my time elsewhere and doing all these other little things, then this is a good way for me to create and put out into the world. I feel like, yeah. Because if I'm just doing one or the other, it just doesn't sit right. You know, if I'm constantly just trying to make singles to blow up, it's just never going to work, you know? It may, but that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to create longevity. I'm trying to show my journey through every creative aspect. And I feel like, yeah, if I do that, then again, I'm being inauthentic to myself. So I feel like it's very important to do whatever feels good. That's something I've learned recently, is if something doesn't align with me, bro, I'm not doing it. Simple as that. The only exception I'll make is for my partner, but even then, sometimes I'm like, I'm not doing it because I've got other shit that I need to do right now that prioritize over that. And I feel like I need to be more on that, because the more I do that, the better output I can produce in every aspect of my life. And the more happy I'll be, you know, like the better life I'll have. I don't want to look back on my shit and be, you hear that all the time of like, you don't want to look back when you're older and go, fuck, I regret the life I lived. I didn't do enough. I know I will do enough, but I don't want to regret the life I live either. I want to do what makes me feel good. I want to do what makes me feel happy. I want to help people, bro. That's the main goal always, is to help people. But I want to feel good about it at the same time. That may be selfish. Sue me if it is. But that's the goal, bro. I'm so excited for the near future. I say that so often, but if you guys were in my shoes and you saw the amount of change that happens so often, I don't know. I don't know how to put it into words, bro, but if you enjoyed this episode, this was a bit different. Again, I'm in a different setup. I might do these more often, depending on how often I'm in here by myself. And depending if I can't do it during the week. I'm hoping I can, but I know towards the end of the year, work gets fucking hectic, as it has been. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe. If you did enjoy, please leave a like. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care and peace.